Hello, which country are you from? Yes, my days are fine, thank you. Mhm. From US. Okay, so for today I will describe much between Paul Morphy and Adolf Anderson, which was played in. Okay, I hope it will be interesting for everybody. So this match was played in Paris in 1858. Gracias, estoy bien. Hi. So it's what can I say before demonstrate games? Adolf Anderson won first international big tournament, which was played in London in 1851. So in this period he was really strong. Okay, probably more or less world champion. Although there are no world champion match title, world champion. World champion official world championship match in that time. So first world championship match was played in 1886 between Wilhelm Steinitz and Johann Zukertort. Steinitz won and became first world champion. So what else I can see? Anderson was older than Morphy. Uh, in the moment of match, he was 40 years old. Morphy was only 21 years old. And it's interesting that, it's a pity for chess that this match, it was very big success for Paul Morphy. He beat Adolf Anderson with score 7-2 with two draws. But it was the last big success for Paul Morphy, and after this match, he played only match against Mongredian. Okay, but Mongredian, of course, wasn't so strong that Adolf Anderson. He beat Mongredian quite easily. At least with a big score. I didn't see games. But okay, Mongredian. Okay, I never hit that. Mongredian was a really strong player. Well, maybe it's not true, but so after match against Anderson, Morphy played match against Mongredian, and after it stopped to play chess. So I heard that he wanted very much to play against Staunton, but Staunton refused to play against Morphy. Different stories. Okay, so we can start with games. First game, Morphy was white and he lost, as we see. Okay, but before the games, there is question: what about Sicilian? E4, c5, knight f3, d6, bishop b5, bishop d7. What is my recommendation? Okay, so when I was white in this position, I always played bishop takes d7. Okay, it's not only move, of course, but only this move I played when I was white. When I was black, okay, Many players took on d7 as well, and black has choice between take with knight or take with queen. Both is possible. It's approximately equal choice on this. But also, what can I say is that queen e2 played Jan Timman against me, and Nigel Short played c4 against me. So all of these moves are possible. Also possible a4, of course. So there are many games. It's matter of taste what to do. But okay, a4 may be less logical because black can play knight c6 and after castle to play knight f6. So, for example, here black can play knight c6 as well, and after castle bishop d7, and now a4. Okay, it's possible, but at least this is not a main line. So main line is rook e1, knight f6, c3, a6, bishop somewhere. White has white choice. So bishop a4 is possible, bishop c4 is possible, bishop f1 is the most popular line, bishop g4, h3, and bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, and now black has choice between e6 or g6. So if white plays a4, they admit that after knight c6, okay, castle anyway, it's more or less forced, and black can play knight f6, and white played a little bit strange move a4, but probably it's not so useful like in Bogo Indian defense. For example, after this, c4, e6, knight f3, bishop b4, knight bd2. I played many times a5. Okay, it wasn't not my novelty, so Korchnoi played this many times before. So it's not a stupid move. This idea if a3 take on d2 and to play a4. Also, bishop e7 is possible as well. e4, d5, e5, knight d7. This is also possible. Okay, so bishop takes d7, my recommendation, and now, okay, it's what I played. So in general, after queen takes d7, I played c4 with idea to play knight c3, d4, to play Maroczy structure. Black can allow this or can play e5. It's original plan, bishop e7. Idea bishop d8, knight g7 and castle. So this plan was utilized by Levon Aronian in his game against Maria Muzachuk. So if black doesn't play e5, so knight f6, for example, knight c3, g6, d4, c takes d4, bishop g7, f3, the most precise move order, because if castle first, castle f3, now black has streak, rook c8, f3, d5. After e takes d5, knight takes d5, knight takes d5, e6, and this position is equal. Also possible, if black wants to have something more sharp in the board, also possible to play knight c6. Now bishop e3 not possible because knight g4, so knight e2, and now queen e6. Double attack to e4 or and c4, so knight d5 more or less forced. Now queen takes e4, knight c7 check, king d7, knight takes a8, queen takes c4, and knight b6, a takes b6. Very interesting position. Many games was played. Okay, so for white, more precise to play f3, and now black has choice. So castle is possible, but now bishop e3, and black has no idea rook c8 and d5, for example. Now d5 doesn't work because knight d4 is well protected. Black can try something else. So after f3, queen c7 is possible, but for example, b3, queen a5, another theoretical line, bishop d2, knight c6, knight d2, and then castle. So white is slightly better in this position. And okay, this is strategy if black is taking. Yes, yes, Kasparov versus the world, yes. But of course, it wasn't only game in this line. If knight takes d7, usually castle, white plays knight gf6, and now white has choice. So queen e2 is possible, rook e1 is possible, d3 is possible as well. So matter of taste. For example, if rook e1, black can play e6. Idea is if c3, bishop e7. If d4 takes, d5. It's quite standard plan. e5, knight e4. This position is more or less equal, playable for both. What else? Queen e2 is possible. If e6 now, b3. It's another standard plan. So white wants to play Maroczy structure. For example, bishop e7, bishop b2, castle c4. For example, a6, d4, takes. And then knight c3, rook fd1. Okay, it's playable position for both, but slightly better for white. Also, black can try g6. Kasparov played against me. It's also possible with idea that in some variation bishop can be more active on g7 than on e7. I need to add some light. So if you are somebody interested with line g6, I recommend to see game Ivanchuk-Kasparov. In Las Palmas, 1996. Okay, so, but let's come back to our main heroes today. So, e4 played. Morphy, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, good evening, bishop c5, and b4. Evans Gambit. So, we have seen already that Anderson himself played Evans Gambit against Wilhelm Steinitz, and he was quite successful. Now he is fighting against Evans Gambit with black. So he took the pawn. After c3, he played bishop a5. As my spectators should remember, Steinitz played only bishop c5. I mean, in his match against Anderson. When I'm losing, it's difficult. So I'm doing many things, but still it's difficult. But okay, so we have other topic. So bishop a5, d4 main move, and e takes d4. Modern recommendation is d6 here. Many games was played and will be played, I hope. But okay, e takes d4, castle, and knight f6 was choice of Adolf Anderson. Black has choice here. So d6 if play, c takes d4, bishop b6, we will have How? Okay, bishop in e5. Okay, anyway, white has no other plans, so d4 is it's only a reasonable move here. Okay, castle is possible, but if castle, black can play d6, and after d4, bishop b6, and black has no problem at all. About d4 instead of b4. About d4, what I am thinking. Okay, there is some theory, I think. So black, yes, I know that this is theoretical line. So if black is taken with pawn, c3, knight f6, this is e5, d5. Bishop b5, knight e4, c takes d4, bishop b6. Very popular line now, but usually this position appear from different move order. I mean c3, knight f6, now d4, e takes d4, e5, d5, bishop b5. Also bishop e2 is possible. Bahadur Jabala played this. Okay, and also bishop takes d4 is possible. Knight takes d4, knight takes d4. Okay, so white has compensation here. For example, f4, d6. There is a lot of theory. Castle, knight f6, takes, bishop g5, something like this. Queen e7, I remember after knight a3, even this enigmatic move is interesting. Idea that after c3, knight e6, this rook on g8 is quite useful for black. So d4 is possible, or another version of same idea is Koltanovsky gambit. I mean castle after knight f6, d4 now. Because now if e takes d4, it's Max Lange attack, which is considered like good for white. So knight takes d4, knight takes e5, white is better, according to modern theory. So bishop takes d4 is main line, and same. Knight takes, f4, bishop g5 is possible as well with same ideas, f4 later, but f4, d6, so this bishop g5, we have main position from Koltanovsky gambit. Okay, certainly d4 is not Evans gambit. Evans gambit is only b4. Main trade in calculation, it happens to be memory. Sorry, probably because of my bad English, I didn't understand totally what is idea of your question about memory and calculation. So can you explain in more clearly way? Because I'm not a native English speaker. Okay, so let's come back. Bishop a5, d4 is only move. So e takes d4, d6 is strong, according modern theory, d6 is strong, but e takes d4 is possible. Castle. Instead of castle, queen b3, also interesting line, but not so dangerous for black. For example, queen f6 is possible. Castle, bishop b6, e5, queen f5, something like this. White has some compensation for the pawn, but objectively, maximum it's enough for equality. Okay, so castle, and after d6, we have seen this position in match between Anderson and Steinitz, and Anderson always played d5, which is, I'm not sure that d5 is the best, but okay. So knight f6 played Anderson with black, so surely if he played knight f6 with black, he have prepared something with white against knight f6. Scotch opening Steinitz variation, but can you explain me what is Steinitz variation in Scotch opening? Frankly speaking, I don't know this. So if you explain me what is Steinitz variation in Scotch opening, I would say you thank you. Okay, so knight f6. So d6 is possible. D takes c3. It's very risky because after queen b3, white has very strong initiative. So knight g7, by the way, is possible as well. If black takes the pawn, queen b3, and this is dangerous for black because if queen f6, e5 is coming, if queen e7, knight takes c3 with idea knight d5, so theory doesn't recommend to take on c3. But knight g7, it's possible, right? So if c takes d4, d5, e takes d5, knight takes d5, bishop a3, bishop e6, a lot of theory. Bishop a3 instead of e5. Instead of e5 in the game. Now bishop a3. Now bishop a3. Okay, let me think. So what black can do? Knight takes e4 is dangerous because queen b3 somehow. d6 is possible, yes. Maybe this is the best, but okay, c takes d4. If knight takes e4, probably rook e1 not possible because bishop has control on this square, but maybe queen e2 is possible. And if black plays d5, there are problems with castle. If maybe queen e7 also is possible, because important that bishop on e5 defend black from rook e1. So maybe this is okay. So if d5, black can play just knight d8 probably. Okay, 2 pawns up, so not so clear what white have against. Knight d8 or knight b8, I don't know what is bad. Knight e5, no, knight e5 not. Here knight e5, no, here knight e5, it's too much because I can take simply. Queen takes e4, queen takes e5, and okay, things doesn't look convincing for white. Okay, but so knight g7 is possible. A lot of theory. I am fine, thank you. I hope you are fine as well. So knight f6. Okay, e5 looks like the most logical move. d5, it's very modern reaction, but now bishop b5, it's probably mistake, but at least dubious move. So principal way for white is, of course, is to take here. D takes c4, take here, rook g8, rook e1, bishop e6, bishop g5. It's very similar to Max Lange attack, but it's not the same. Max Lange attack is, sorry, not this. So Max Lange attack can appear, yes, knight f6, for example, d4, e takes d4, castle, bishop c5, e5, d5, takes. So it's not the same, but okay, now, for example, if rook e1, bishop e6, knight g5, I remember that black is okay after g6. So according to modern theory, g6 is the best move for black. And queen f3, for example, it's not only a possibility, but I will show you illustrative line. Rook takes e6, pawn takes. Yes, f take g7, it's possible, yes. So f7, king h8, knight takes e6, queen e7, queen h3, where queen h3? Here queen h3 you want, where? Or after f7? Okay, after f7, if queen h3, h5 simply. White has no strong attack because pieces are not well developed. If queen takes e6, queen d6, for example, or even queen e7 is possible because white cannot take on g6. So if immediately queen h3, okay, hardly good because queen d7 simply. G4 you want, okay, you want this, queen h3, h5, g4. Okay, but this attack doesn't look very serious. Now, for example, I can try queen f6 or queen d5, for example. After take, queen f5. So I don't believe that only with knight and queen white can have serious attack. For example, if white takes, black can take simply to play king g7, knight f4, okay, bishop d6, for example. The simplest, probably not only, but in this position it's clear that only black can be better. Okay, maybe knight d2, maybe white can survive, but it's surely cannot fight for the advantage. Okay, probably black has something even better here. So after knight f4, maybe king f6, knight d2 also. This idea knight e4. Okay, so knight d8 is possible. Knight d8 is interesting to prepare e5. Instincts, okay. It's not like instincts, it's more like evaluation of position. It's not the same. Okay, but I remember theory. So according to theory, if f7, king h8, knight takes e6, queen e7, bishop g5, queen takes f7, queen takes, rook takes, knight takes c5, rook e8, threatening mate, knight d2, and now king g7. It's very important move because black has threat with rook e5 or rook f5. So in this position, it is white who need to think about equality. But okay, there are another lines. For example, here bishop, this and bishop g5. It's bishop e7 takes. Now it's possible to take with queen. Also possible to take with king. So it's special theory of Max Lange variation. Okay, so I will not analyze today it very deep. So at least I showed some critical lines. So here in the game was possible to have similar. And now it's important for white that bishop on a5, it's a little bit misplaced because he's far from diagonal a3 f8, so white has this motif. Bishop e6, bishop g5, something like this. Queen d5, knight d2, knight e4 is coming, so rook takes g7, knight e4, knight f6 is threat, rook g6, knight h4, rook takes g5, knight f6, king d8, takes. This is white has material advantage, but position is still totally unclear. Okay, if somebody have problem with calculation, in general, good recommendation to play blindfold. If it's difficult, at least you can start only 5 moves, then only 10 moves, and then try to play a longer game. Well, about Morphy and Stein. Okay, so I check my database today when I prepared material. So Morphy and Anderson played only this match. Also, okay, probably they played some games which I cannot see them in my database. It's totally possible. But according to my database, so only this much. So I will try to explain why Morphy won this match with a big score. Well, also, although they played some thematic match in King's Gambit from one position, but okay, it's thematic. It's more like exhibition, so I don't consider this very serious. So okay, match. Um, there are a lot of psychology during each match. So okay, for today I have seen only 2 games which I prepared. So later I will continue this match and I will try to explain why Morphy beat Anderson even with quite a big score, even after losing first game. And but okay, so Anderson seems me he was excellent player, but probably he was stronger in the tournaments than in matches. So Steinitz, vice versa, was strong in the matches. So I think because of this, that in match Steinitz was stronger than Morphy. And also, it's interesting after to see very briefly games between Morphy and Anderson. I have feeling that Anderson 8 years after, so in 1866, when he played against Steinitz, was quite stronger than in 1850. 8. So Steinitz had the same opponent, Adolf Anderson, but Anderson was stronger during the match against Steinitz than during the match against Morphy. I don't know why. Probably he made some work to improve. But okay, at the moment I still have opinion that Steinitz was stronger than Morphy, not like with a big advantage, but if tough match, I think Steinitz would have better chances. Okay, it's of course it's not possible to check now, unfortunately. So, but this is okay. But so e takes f6 certainly was correct choice for Morphy. But after bishop b5, he lost initiative, so knight e4. Very natural. C takes d4. White has nothing better. For example, queen a4 is possible to consider, but hard to believe that this is good for white. For example, bishop d7, bishop b6, bishop takes. Now maybe even, I don't know, queen d7, maybe it's too much. Queen d7 and castle with idea bishop a6, but maybe knight takes d4 to prepare queen c6. Maybe this is too much. Okay, but so bishop d7, simple idea, queen takes d5. Okay, maybe it's not so bad for white. Because knight is attacked, pawn is attacked. After knight takes c3, white can try to make some threats. For example, takes. And now there are some ideas. For example, bishop a3, it's possible. But okay, we need to check if this is fourth in line. So queen a4, it's very logical. Bishop takes c3 also, maybe. It's strong for black, maybe. But okay, still white has compensation. For example, bishop a3, I'm not sure because bishop d7, but maybe just take. So knight takes c3, maybe just take. B takes c6, queen takes c6, bishop d7, queen c5, and white still have reasonable compensation. Your proposition is bishop a3. Okay, bishop a3 maybe too much. Okay, even bishop d7, I'm not sure that white is able to organize serious attack here. So queen a4 at least looks like a very serious alternative, because in the game was things was bad. In earlier variation, okay, but where exactly bishop a3? Okay, so queen a4 was interesting. Okay, if I show it, so queen a4. Okay, so bishop b6 takes, bishop d7, queen takes d5. Yes. So, this. Also knight g5 is possible to consider now. So why not? If castle, white can try something like queen e4, g6, queen h4. Okay, maybe it's not so bad for black. Queen e4, g6, queen h4, h5. But at least white has queen d. Okay, queen d3 and queen takes here. I don't know. So it's not so clear yet. So queen a4 was quite interesting line at least, especially if compare with game, because after c takes d4, Anderson just castled, and black has pawn up and very solid position. So Morphy took on c6, and he wants to, but okay, he totally lost initiative, and surely that black pieces are much active than white ones. And now black has pleasant choice. Anderson played bishop g4, very logical, but also bishop a6 is possible. Because if rook d1, bishop e2 is coming, so rook e1 is more or less forced, but after rook e8, with idea rook e6, it's clear that black is better. For example, if knight c3, rook e6, if queen a4, knight takes c3, queen takes a6, bishop takes d4, if queen d3, knight e2, and probably black is winning, at least. f6 instead of rook e8, f6 is possible, but I'm not sure that... now bishop a3. Bishop e3, if rook e8, e6, so probably pawn e6 is quite strong here. Okay, so bishop a6 was possible, but well, bishop g4 is very solid move, active. White knight is attacked, and bishop b2. So it's okay. It's totally clear that black is better here. So question how white can defend. So if imagine that bishop will take on f3, white should protect d4 pawn. So more logical looks bishop e3, because here with bishop on e3, white king is better protected than with bishop on b2. It's clear. But there is problems that after bishop e3, black can play f6 now, and this is very strong. Black wants to open f line, and e6 now is very bad, because after rook e8 white just losing the pawn, and white has no possibility to develop pieces. For example, if knight d2, black can just take. If bishop takes on f3 and then on d4. So if knight takes d2, f takes e5, and the problems that after d takes e5, d4 is coming. Okay, so knight b3 is objectively best, but okay, white is pawn down without sufficient compensation, of course. So after f6, white still in trouble here, even in serious trouble. But after bishop b2, situation is even worse, because bishop is very far from king's flank, and black has excellent attacking chances. So bishop f3, very logical. G takes f3. Of course, knight bd2 after bishop g4, I think, because knight can take, and if knight takes, bishop takes d4. If bishop takes, just takes, and white is losing material. So it's very simple reason. So bishop b2, bishop f3, g takes f3, and of course Anderson is queen a4. Ah, okay, queen a4 here. Yes, but anyway, black can do the same like in the games. Bishop f3 and knight g5. Also f6 is possible. Okay, this is the simplest, and white position looks like totally collapsed. So king is weak, structure is bad. So bishop f3, very logical. Of course, not enough for Anderson to make draw like this. It was possible, and I'm sure that Adolf have seen this, but he evaluate his position like clearly better, so black has no reason. But also f6 was interesting. So here with idea, if knight d2, just take, and bishop e2 to win exchange. But okay, bishop f3 even more natural. Knight g5, knight d2, rook e8, very logical. King h1. White has no special ideas. Okay, maybe black could try also knight h3 immediately, because king h1 only move, king g2, knight f4 is coming. Queen h4, very direct attack. So knight f2 is threat. If queen takes d5, rook a d8, and knight takes f2 in some moment looks like terrible something for black. But okay, rook e8, it's also very logical, because black is preparing rook e6, rook h6, rook e6, rook g6 plan. So position of white looks like a terrible collapse. Okay, so the question, if I consider Morphy like the biggest chess talent, okay, frankly speaking, I'm not well familiar with games of Morphy yet, so Anderson was the strongest his opponent during his career. So I think after analyzing game of this match, uh, we can have together more objective opinion about Morphy, about his strong and weak sides. So no reason to hurry. Average average size at any book to improve attacking. Okay, to improve attacking, probably it's better to solve many combination. I think it's the best way. Or analyze games of Tal, of Morozevich, of Rudolf Spielmann, of Paul Morphy as well, Adolf Andersen, Harry Nelson Pillsbury, and many other attacking players. Okay, so Rook E8 played Andersen. He's he has excellent position, of course. King H1. Morphy trying to defend somehow. Knight H3 played Adolf. Very logical looks Rook E6, of course. So queen needs to go somewhere. Okay, Queen C2. Okay, what else? Other moves hardly is better, but after Rook H6, it looks like very bad position for white. So there is no any contraplay. Black has easy attack. So knight e6, queen h4 is plan of black, and I have no idea how black can defend, how white can defend in this position. For example, if f4, knight e6, f5, very likely that even this is made. Okay, black has other ways for win, but this is quite forcing mate. But okay, it's very simple, but I don't know how white can improve defense. So okay, queen f5 is possible, but after knight e6, the queen h4 is coming, so d4 is very weak. Okay, so white are in very big trouble. Knight b3 is possible. Okay, at least white will lost a pawn in very bad position. So what else? So rook g1. Okay, so again knight h3. If knight e6, rook g4, at least white can fight somehow, but knight h3, so and rook white should protect the pawn. Okay, if rook g2, queen h4 is coming, and then knight f4 is threat, so something very terrible for white. Okay, rook g3, it's possible to try this idea if knight takes f2, king g2, but anyway, queen h4 again, so knight f2 is hanging, so d4 pawn is hanging. Okay, white not losing by force after knight f1 probably, but situation is very bad for white. But okay, so rook e6 was good, so Andersen played knight h3, also interesting because he doesn't allow idea rook g1, and he's preparing rook e6, so f4, so Morphy given pawn, so he doesn't see any ideas of defense because all of pieces are very strange. So rook doesn't play, so bishop on b2 is terrible. So correct place for bishop is e3, of course. But bishop is on b2, knight cannot, so very bad situation. So f4 played. He is giving pawn, and black can just take this pawn immediately or after rook e6, but Andersen played queen h1. Okay, it's matter of taste. Objectively, rook g1, where now rook g1, give exchange, okay, but hardly this is good idea. Black can just take on g1, knight f2 and knight d3, it's very attractive. So about Grand Prix attack in Sicilian, knight c3 and f4, you mean? Or what this Grand Prix attack. Okay, so f4. Okay. Okay, but surely not today because today we have other openings, so probably another time. So f4 probably the simplest way. Knight takes f4. Black has pawn up and much better positions. But okay, queen h4 played Adolf. Queen takes d5, knight takes f2. So white in big trouble. If king g2, for example, knight g4 looks pretty unpleasant because h2 is hanging, knight e3 also hanging. So for example, if knight f3, knight e3 check, king h, queen g4, and white can simply resign. Queen is hanging, so rook g1, this, and knight takes d5. So king g1 played Morphy, but it doesn't help, of course. Knight d3. Bishop is attacked, rook d8 is coming, so everything is very bad for Morphy. Bishop c3, knight takes f4. And now queen f3. So first question, why not queen e4? Queen e4 looks very natural move. Why Morphy didn't play this? It's not so clear for me. So queen e4, why not? So knight is attacked, so queen g4 doesn't work, king h1. Rook takes e5 doesn't work because queen takes f4. My idea was this. Here black is winning because if king h1 just mate, if king f2, knight d3, and then knight takes e5. But after rook takes e5, queen f4. So black has nothing. So after queen e4, what should black play? Okay, g5 is possible, of course, but okay, after g5, at least maybe white has some contraplay. What else? Knight g6 is possible, okay, but after knight g6, it is endgame on the board, so white can fight. Anyway, it's bad, of course, but it's not hopeless, something like this. So queen e4 looks like okay, queen g5 is possible, but king h1, and at the moment white has coordinated pieces, so it's not so hopeless position like before. So rook e6, where rook e6 after queen e4. So after queen e4, knight is hand. Okay, maybe knight h3. Okay, knight h3, king g2. Okay, situation it's not totally clear. Okay, so black is better, of course, but it is fight. So probably in some moves before, Anderson wasn't very precise. But now queen f3, it's strange move. But okay, so probably he wanted to attack on f7. After queen e4, f5 is not possible. Knight is attacked, so black should do something. Rook e5, even queen takes a8. Okay, but you are right, of course. But queen takes f4 was also enough refutation of this. So, okay, queen takes e5. It's very bad, but if queen takes c4, it's enough to refuse from. So during these moves, it looks like Anderson played Okay, the simplest moment was knight takes f4 and black is clearly winning. So probably queen h4 was not the best. Or here, okay, knight e3. So here situation, it's okay, it's still bad for white, but it's already fight. Okay, maybe c5 is very interesting here from black. Try to activate bishop, but it's not so clear. So queen f3. Okay, so Morphy, probably he have seen queen e4, but he wants to attack f7. Okay, so this is choice. But knight h3, now it's different story because black has this maneuver, defensive maneuver, and white cannot exchange queens. This is problem for white because his king is weak, and with queens it's more dangerous. Queen g2 played Morphy. What else? Okay. After queen f5, g6 is possible. After queen f4, it's black can change queens, but knight is coming to e6, and this endgame looks like terrible for white. So queen g2 played Morphy, rook d8, calmly played Anderson. He's attacked pawn, so it looks again like black has pawn up and better position because pieces are more active. He played rook g1, Morphy. Rook g5 it's possible, rook f5 is possible to consider, but bishop takes d4 is coming, and I don't see if okay, we can check. So this rook takes g7, maybe it's not so simple. King h8 and knight f3 somehow. Queen. But bishop takes a1. Black is winning. Knight takes h4, rook d1, and this endgame it's totally hopeless for white. So rook f5, bishop takes d4. If bishop takes d4 also is possible. If queen takes knight b3, and white is winning the piece. So queen takes a1 and rook d1 doesn't work because rook f1. So white is winning the piece now. So bishop takes d4 is actually bad move. So rook f5 was possible. But okay, after rook f5, black can play something else. So bishop d4 it's important. Bishop d4 is not good. So I'm fine. Thank you very much. Okay, so how to play after rook f5? Well, knight e6 is possible to consider, but after knight e6, d5 is coming. It's not so clear for me. If knight f4, queen e4, there is unpleasant pin. Also, knight g6 is possible, so maybe still bad for white, but white can fight. For example, rook d1 even. Rook d1, black can take, and knight e7. So yes, bishop on b6 is better in this position. Okay, bishop takes d4. Okay, it's doesn't work tactically. So this is mistake. Okay, what else? h6 looks logical, but after h6 maybe rook g1. White has idea. And if bishop takes d4 now, knight f3 it's possible. So so knight f3 is threat. So not so clear totally. White also has some chances. Maybe not enough. Maybe g6 simply possible. Attack the rook, and if rook is moving somewhere. Bishop takes d4 is coming, but knight f3. Also queen e4. Okay, objectively looks like bad for white, but there are some practical chances at least. Okay, so Morphy played rook g1, h6 simply played Adolf, or knight e6 d5. So it doesn't work. Rook takes d4. At which moment rook takes d4? In which moment? Okay, so h6 like only move, but strong one. Black just defended his knight. So after rook f5, rook takes d4. But what is the idea if I will just take knight? So I don't understand what your threats. Rook is attacked, and no, rook takes d4 doesn't work. Okay, after rook f5, h6 looks like the best way for black, and black still have serious advantage. If d5, for example, already bishop d4 probably is possible. Although this with idea knight f3. But well, we can check. So this. And it looks like white is objectively losing because bishop will take pawn e5 in next move. For example, after queen takes g5, bishop takes e5, and black should win in this position. Okay, so rook g1, h6, rook f1, queen h3. Proposition of exchange. Okay, but I want to understand what is going on. So h6 he played, rook f1 he played. So bishop takes d4, knight f3 was prepared. It's clear. So bishop takes d4 doesn't work. If rook takes d4, knight f3 as well is possible. So queen h3 played Anderson, but maybe black can try to play with queens as well. For example, queen h5 it's possible to consider. Why not? My idea is to avoid knight f3 with tempi. And now bishop takes d4 is threat. For example, if knight e4, bishop takes d4 is coming. Okay, anyway, my spectator from Frankfurt he, needs to go. Anyway, this video will be published, so you can come back and see this totally. Okay, to free bishop and attack g7, but it's not realistic. Okay, so queen h5, I like the move. So because okay, d5 not possible. So rook on g1 is hanging. So bishop pawn on d4 is attacked, and why should do something to defend? So knight f3 it's possible, but after knight f3 black can play even knight e6 like a possibility, but okay, so administrated setting doesn't. Okay, I need to write this mentions because I don't understand. Okay, I will ask to administrator. Just a moment. Grading. Okay, I will write for myself it now. Okay, so there is setting that doesn't allow streamers to send their views. Send their viewers here when they are finished streaming. Some people would to share your channel with more people but cannot because of channel settings. Okay, there is a question if I'm really Ivanchuk. No, I am Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, so Queen h5 looks like a very promising alternative for black because white has weak king and weak pawns on the center. So after knight f3, okay, knight e6 is good, but also even rook e6 is possible. If white is taking on g5, they will lose d4 pawn, and endgame looks like very bad. If d5, even rook g6 is possible. Okay, so but queen h3 played Anderson. Probably he afraid attack. He wants to simplify the position. Also practical decision, but objectively in this endgame white can fight. So it was possible, for example, to take and play rook g4. Okay, it's bad endgame, but not hopeless. Knight g5 also, and knight e6 is coming. Okay, but okay, for example, h4, knight e6, knight e4, so knight f6 is threat, so d5 is threat as well. So not so clear. Okay, rook g4. Or maybe rook g3, white can rook g3 not possible because bishop takes d4. No. Yes, bishop d4 is possible with a nice idea. If bishop d4, rook takes d4, and if knight f3, black has rook d1 trick. So rook g3 doesn't work because bishop takes d4. So rook g4 looks like better. And now after knight, okay, maybe knight g5 it's not only move, but white wants knight e4 at the moment. So knight g5 looks very logical, but now h4. If knight e6, knight e4 is coming, and white has quite serious contraplay. Because Knight f6 is unpleasant threat. If king f8, bishop b4 is coming. So at this moment, it looks like okay, blunders in my games. Okay, probably I had, but okay, so now I'm focused in this game. So looks like queen h3. So queen h5 looks like was much stronger than queen h3. Queen h3 was dubious, and after queen h3, white has very serious contraplay after simply taking and the rook g4. So if knight g5, h4, knight e6, knight e4, and now it looks like suddenly white is quite fine because black has no possibility to defend good against threats of white. Okay, maybe it's possible to play h5. If knight f6, king f8 is my idea. If rook's somewhere, bishop takes d4, for example. If knight f6, king f8, so this idea to take, so okay. King h8, king h8 here, king h8 just gives a pawn. Ah, yes, after rook takes f7, bishop takes d4. Yes, you are right. So king h8 is nice move. Yes, yes, king h8. Yes, yes. Now white has no resources for attack, and yes, yes. Okay, okay. So queen c6 played Morphy. Very strange move, by the way, because he allows rook e6 with Tempi. But Anderson played queen d7. So what is this? Okay, rook e6 looks like move very strong. So queen c4, only reasonable move for white. But okay, certainly this is very bad position for white. What is the best for black? Maybe rook g6. Ah, rook g6, rook takes f7 also. So rook g6 is not convincing. So maybe just c6 is possible. To stop d5, to prepare rook d5. This position looks like very bad for white. So many weakness, no contraplay. So rook e6 was strong move. But okay, so queen d7 played Adolf. He wants to exchange queens and attack white pawns. And Morphy considering endgame like hopeless. Also, so again here after h4, bishop takes d4 is possible. And now after this, after knight b6, but white can take also, and g takes h6, and, but g6. Okay, not sure. e6 takes h7, and king takes, rook takes. Black should be winning. h7 immediately. h7 immediately, king g7. That's my idea. I'm not sure that white can survive here. Because it's important line, because if knight e6, knight e4 is coming, not so clear. But okay, it's possible now. King h8, it's a good move to defend, and white cannot defend his pawn. So this is even simpler. So queen g2 played Morphy, bishop takes d4. Is this rook g2? Here rook g2. Yes, but white is some pawns down. Okay, even rook d7 is possible. I don't believe that white can survive here. Rook h8 is coming. Okay, so queen g2, but played Morphy, but Anderson took another pawn, so white is already 2 pawns down, queen d5. Okay, so knight takes g5, rook f5, and you mean in rook endgame? Rook f5, but okay, rook h8. Two pawns up, it's enough to win. Yes, everything, or even just take. It's possible. This problem. Okay, so queen g2, but it looks like totally hopeless. So knight f3, queen d5. Now, if knight takes g5, h takes g5 simply. So white is totally hopeless. 2 pawns down. So h4 played Morphy, but okay, after knight e6. So we can see that Anderson had a very good feeling of knights. So also in games against Steinitz, we have seen he utilized very well blockading squares for his knights. So he was quite good positional player, but very so now what we see on the board. So black are 2 pawns up, and white king is very weak, and very strange that okay, now move 31, very strange that game was played till move 72. It looks like normally white should resign after 5 moves or something like this. Okay, so what happened? So queen g4 played Morphy. So black has pleasant choice, 2 pawns up. It's possible even take on a2. I don't see any threats, but okay, so queen c6, nothing wrong at least. So queen takes a2, more greedy probably. Queen c6, solid, rook g2, rook d3, solid, queen f5, rook ed8, queen f6, so queen f6. At the moment there is threat rook takes g7, because queen c6 is not protected. Black cannot play king f8 because rook takes g7. Queen c2 maybe was possible. Okay, many moves is possible. So queen d5, nothing wrong at least. Queen f5, white back. Okay, white has no serious attack because knight underpinned. So now black is prepared for king f8. So, okay. Queen f5, rook d1 played Anderson. Not only move, of course, because white has no threats, but okay, maybe knight e1 is threatsome. For example, if c5, knight e1 can be considered. attack rook and then try to take on f7. So this can be considered like threat. So okay, rook d1 eliminated rook. So king h2. Looks like white is totally hopeless. And now rook d3 played Adolf. Queen d3 looks very logical. Try to exchange queens. White is totally hopeless. But okay, rook d3, rook f2. So only chance for white attack f7 in some moment. And suddenly rook e3 played Adolf, and he gave his opponent some chance. Okay, was I don't see if white has any threats if black plays something like c5. Probably knight g5. No, knight g5 maybe. For example, if black plays c5, so are there any ideas? Yes. After knight g5, black can even take with knight. The simplest refutation takes with knight, and if takes, queen h5 check, and then take on g5 with queen. So knight g5 doesn't work, so what else white can do? If knight e1, at least rook d7, it's enough to protect pawns. So other moves with knight d4, knight d4. Rook takes d4, queen takes f7. Yes, for example, this, maybe even this. Just okay, but this is losing for white. But this probably better to have with king on h8, maybe here with idea rook f8 in some moment. So this king g3. Okay, queen g1, but okay, queen's endgame with e5 passed pawn gives white probably some chances. Okay, also how serious this, I don't know. If king h5 also. Queen g3. Black is winning because mating threats. Okay, so probably the most technical was to play rook d7, for example, to protect everything and to win in quiet way. But okay, rook e2 played. So after c5, knight d4 probably. But after knight d4, black can just take with knight, sorry. And there is no perpetual check, so knight d4 doesn't work at all. Knight takes d4. No, there is no draw because white has no f5 square for queen. So c5 was quite good. So black white has no any threats actually. Everything under control. Okay, but he played rook e2, and after knight d2, suddenly things are not so clear because black cannot protect pawn f7. So rook e3 looks like mistake. If knight d8 now, queen d7 is coming. So this not helps. So probably he missed knight d2. Also important to say that they played without clocks, and according to memories of spectators, exactly this game one from the match was played 7 hours. So it was really long game. Rook e2 played Anderson, queen takes f7, king h8. So knight e2, probably white has knight e4, probably. Okay, now at least white took pawn f7 and have some chances to survive. But still, bad situation. Knight takes f2. Maybe queen takes f2 was possible, but after queen takes f2, queen g4 looks like very close to win for black. So knight takes f2, queen d5. So he blundered at 92, but still very close to win. So necessary to play accurately. But at the moment, e5 pawn under attack with check, so white has no time for h5 and queen e8 and queen g6 prepare perpetual check. So knight g4 played Morphy, but now black has 2 pawns up again. Queen c6. Okay, maybe black has something more easy, I don't know. Queen b3, king h2. But queen c6, it's quiet choice because from c6 queen doesn't allow queen e8 checks. So queen c6, I like this move at least. h5 played Morphy, probably there is nothing better. Now a5. Also very natural looks knight g5. And position looks like totally hopeless. World Blitz Championship in I will write for myself. Carlsen. Okay, not today, of course, but I wrote. Okay, knight g5 looks like a logical idea. So, for example, queen f8, only reasonable move, king h7. Now knight f6 doesn't work because I hope doesn't work at least. If e takes queen d7 not possible because after queen e7 suddenly white is winning. Black cannot stop this, but okay, after e takes f6, black can play queen d6 check, the simplest. So this doesn't help. Again, if e takes f6, always queen d6. So after knight g5, so white can try queen e7 immediately, but now black can win by attacked queen c2, queen d3. At least white is losing knight. So knight g5 was strong and very easy win for black. But a5 played Anderson and now knight f6. Mate in threats, takes, king g8. Now it's still fight, h6. So white has strong passed pawn, but okay. Black has no checks at the moment, it's also important, so queen d5. Wise choice, h7. Nothing better for white, unfortunately. So queen g5. And this is losing position. But what is interesting that this position, I mean, position with not exactly this position, but I mean position with this material is losing even if white has king somewhere on b1. But very interesting discovery of computers that, for example, if image white king on b1, black can win with pawn a6, c7, but cannot win with pawn a6 and b7. So a and b pawn doesn't win. It's big surprise. Okay, practically excellent winning chances, but theoretically this is draw. And once I lost a game, a very important game against Anatoly Karpov because I didn't know this theory. In that moment, it wasn't published, and I avoided this queen's endgame without two pawns. I choose another move, which no, it's not because of perpetual check. It's because sometimes motifs of stalemate and very unusual fortress. So it's very difficult to explain, but this is true. You can check with table bases, 6 pieces or 7 pieces. But okay, now what we see, black also has king very far from the pawns, so because of this, it's easy win for black. So queen d4 check, a4, e5, also queen c8, king b. Anderson is tricky, so if queen takes c7, surely queen c4 is prepared. White cannot stop, so king b5 is nice trick. Okay, of course it wasn't necessary. Black could win by some other moves, but it's nice motif. If black has one pawn up, okay, if c pawn, it's I'm not sure. For example, if image only c pawn, if white king on e2, it's I'm not sure. Probably it's draw. But if image that black has c pawn and only c pawn without a pawn and white king somewhere on h3, it's winning, theoretically winning. About if black has only a pawn, usually it is draw, but for white it's better to have king somewhere around h7 in this corner, and this is theoretical draw. But okay, at the moment, black has two pawns up, so this is win. So king b5, very tricky and nice. So queen b7 is possible, but after queen b6, queen d5, queen c5, this, this, this. White has no checks anymore because if queen b7, queen b5, if queen e4, queen c4. Okay, thank you. So king e1 played Morphy, c5, queen c4, and we see that queens cut white king, so white is totally hopeless. Queen c3. Again, same motive like before. So Anderson demonstrate excellent technique in Queen's Endgame. Okay, it wasn't so difficult, but anyway, if imagine this was 7 hours game, it's not so easy. Again, Queen takes c5, Queen c3, Queen a7, played Morphy, but this is hopeless as well. So Queen c3, of course, a3 immediately is possible. queen c3, he played check, queen b3, again, tricky. So if queen takes c5, queen c2 is prepared, so Morphy is resigned. So it was game one, and Adolf Anderssen won. So for today, I will show also game two. Anderssen white, now Morphy black. Okay, I'm not finished. So game two is in action. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5 played Adolf. a6, bishop a4, knight f6, d3. I don't know what was. Okay, d3 is playable move, but I don't know what was theory of opening exactly in this moment. So does he afraid to play open variation or what? I don't know. Maybe. But he played d3, and now e5 pawn is under attack. White wants to take on c6 and takes on e5. Because of this, black surely cannot play something like bishop e7 because they just losing pawn. But of course, black has several possibilities to defend this pawn. b5 was possible, d6 is possible, but bishop c5 played Morphy. He defended pawn indirectly. Of course, now bishop takes c6 is possible, but not with idea knight takes e5, because after queen d2, 4, white is just losing. So knight takes e5 is terrible blunder. Okay, but here, for example, h3, it's totally playable position. There are many games on this topic. Okay, c3 played Anderssen, now b5, good, because if d6, d4 is possible. I don't know how strong is d4, because black has idea bishop a7. If d takes e5, knight takes e4, if d5, b5 is coming, but okay, so Morphy decide to prevent this, and now bishop c2, a little bit passive. I would prefer bishop b3, because with bishop on b3, d5 is less logical than with bishop on c2. But after bishop c2, okay, now black has choice. d6 is possible and d5 is possible. But after d5, certainly e takes d5, it's not a good idea. Much more logical was to play knight bd2 to keep the structure. And I don't think that these ideas are good for black. I mean, this knight takes c2, because after b1, knight b3 is coming. So very likely that black will lost his knight. Although, okay, probably necessary to check. Bishop e6, if knight b3, bishop c4, if queen takes c, bishop d3, maybe it's not so simple, but if knight f1, same idea, bishop c4 and bishop d3. But at the moment queen b3, it's possible. If bishop takes b1, knight d2, f7 is hanging. And also probably b3, it's possible. But okay, maybe black can fight here, queen e7 to prepare knight a3. Okay, looks very dangerous, but who knows. Also, of course, castle is possible. Logical moves, because if takes with rook. Knight g4 is nothing, rook f1, and then h3 is counts. So, but e takes d5, it's big concession, but knight takes d5, it's strange for modern chess, so much more logical looks queen takes d5. Now queen is active, so black is prepared for bishop f5, and They have excellent position. Probably bishop g5 was afraid Morphy, but after bishop g5, black has many good ideas. Even e4 is possible. If d takes e4, queen takes d1. If bishop d1, knight takes e4. If king takes, knight g4 is coming. So queen takes d5 was stronger. Also bishop f5 is good. Strong pressure against these 3 pawns. Knight takes d5. h3. Very modern move. Anderson doesn't allow bishop g4. Castle, castle, h6. d4. Also possible knight takes e5 and d4. Bishop d6 probably is the best. D takes e5, bishop takes e5, knight d2. This position looks like approximately equal. So d4, it's more sharp game. So white has isolated pawn, but they have active game in style of Livio Dieter Nisipiano. Of course, Adolf Anderson could not imagine that he is playing in Nisipiano style. Knight c3 and knight db4 played Morphy. There are many moves here. It looks like he wants to attack d4 pawn immediately. Also possible was rook e8, for example. Totally normal move. Okay, knight db4. So bishop under attack. If bishop e4, I think f5 was prepared. And bishop c6, knight takes c6 is acceptable for black. Also, it's playable position, d5, knight e7, b4 is rook e1, probably, with idea, or queen b3 immediately. Okay, it's playable position. So bishop e4 was reasonable alternative, but bishop b1 played Adolf. Bishop e6, so Morphy doesn't take pawn d4. I don't know why. It's so. What is his problem? It's not so easy to understand. So knight takes d4, most likely, because if a3, black has just knight c6, and they are ready to take on d4 with knights. So knight takes d4, and now black has choice take with queen or take with bishop. And both looks like possible. Okay, so if queen takes d4, probably queen f3 was idea of Adolf, but I don't know if it's really dangerous for black. Okay, for example, if bishop e6, a3. If knight d5, rook d1, and black maybe losing the piece already. So simple to play, not possible. So after queen f3, yes, it's unpleasant. a3. Okay, not hopeless for black. They can play c6 maybe. If bishop e3, queen d8, if a3. But now bishop e3, white is winning suddenly. And queen e4, double attack. So probably after queen f3, black is in very big trouble already. Bishop d7, rook d1 as well. Yes, suddenly looks like very big problem for black. So very nice tactic was prepared for by Anderson, but Morphy avoided. Okay, maybe bishop takes d4, but okay, after bishop takes d4, bishop e4, and then a3 is coming. So, yeah, but after bishop e4, c6 also. If a3, bishop takes c3 and knight d5. So probably bishop takes d4 is playable. But again, queen f3, if bishop e6, fish in the chat. Now bishop d7. No, bishop d7, queen e4. And black is losing. Bishop e6 maybe is possible. Important that after a3, knight d5, and if queen e4, knight f6. Rook a7. Yes, it's also possible. Yes, maybe rook a7. But the situation is not clear. For example, even a3, if bishop b7, queen g4. This idea, bishop takes h6. Fish. Okay. Okay, I will try. So at least we can see that take the pawn was risky. So more solid objectively was rook e8, just play just solid developing move. But okay, so after bishop b1, also possible to consider bishop takes d4. Not okay. But now a3. Now a3, and suddenly black cannot save his knight. They can play knight d5. So yes, white has some compensation. For example, queen c2. If knight f6, probably c4 with idea bishop b2. So, although knight d4 is here, queen takes d4. If bishop b4, queen c4. Okay, so probably was possible to take with bishop. If knight takes d4, immediately to take with knight, because queen takes d4 is losing. Because after a3, black cannot defend. So knight takes d4 is only move, but white has compensation. I don't know it's enough or not. If a3, knight c6. So it was possible to take. Probably with bishop was possible, but it's we can see that position is quite tricky. So Morphy decided this is too risky and played bishop e6, just positional move, and a3. I don't know if a3 was necessary. Frankly speaking, bishop e3 looks very natural, just defend the pawn. But okay, he played a3, knight d5. Now he played knight e2. It's a little bit strange move for me. So very natural looks queen c2. Don't know why Adolf doesn't play this. And f5 looks like only move. Because g6, bishop h6 at least. Knight f6 looks like losing because knight e4 is coming. So f5, but now something unpleasant for black. For example, rook e1, black has problem with his bishop. Somewhere bishop a2 or rook takes e6 and bishop a2. So it's unpleasant for black at least. Also, knight takes b5 is possible to consider. Very concrete way with idea to take a pawn. So it's very strange that Anderson doesn't play queen c2 and bishop e5. Bishop e4, you mean, probably. Okay, bishop e4 is possible, but after bishop e4, black has many moves. For example, this is possible, also possible to play something like this. So queen c2 looks like very concrete move, and after queen c2 looks like, yeah, bishop e4 is possible, but queen c2 looks like much more concrete and much stronger. Even knight takes b5 was possible, by the way, but okay, this is less convincing probably, because knight f6, queen takes bishop d5, and then bishop takes f3, and bishop takes d4. So queen c2, and white is better. After f5, rook e1, or knight takes b5. So knight e2, it's too modest move when white has real attacking chances. Knight f6 played Morphy. Another logical move was knight e7, probably. He played knight f6. Now queen c2 is not strong because there are no mating threats and on h7, and white cannot play knight g3. So okay, knight e2 is bad move. He missed queen c2. So knight f6, bishop e3, rook e8, knight g3, bishop c4. So now knight f5 played Adolf Anderssen. Exchange sacrifice. Why to exchange sacrifice, I don't know. Hard to believe that compensation is totally enough, but rook e1 was bad because knight takes d4. Simple trick, white is losing the pawn without compensation. And, okay, bishop d3 was possible, but positionally black is slightly better. Queen d5, rook d8, because of weakness of d4 pawn. So bishop d3, it's clear positional concessions. And Anderssen, of course, have understood this. So he played knight f5, but it looks like very risky because he is giving exchange without very concrete threats, but at least it's very interesting. So knight e7 played Morphy, looks like logical. Exchange this active knight, knight h4, knight takes, queen d7. Probably queen d5 also was possible. I don't know what is more precise. Maybe even queen d5 is more precise here to prepare knight e4. Same motive as the game, as in the game hardly works. Okay, in the game he played bishop h6, but here bishop h6 I don't believe. I can take g6 is possible as well. Also, it's not, but I can just take if queen c1, maybe just knight e4 is enough. White is rook down, so only queen f4 move, maybe with idea to prepare bishop a2 somehow, but very difficult to believe that it works. For example, queen e6, if bishop a2, queen f6, it looks like ghosts. So queen d5, okay, but queen d7 looks logical. So bishop takes h6, looks like desperation attack. So doesn't look it can be really correct. But okay, so he did. Black has choice, so g takes a6 to Morphy. Also g6 is totally possible. So knight is attacking, and if queen c1, knight e4 is coming, so it looks like what white is doing is totally incorrect. But okay, g takes h6, queen c1. And creative position, but at the moment white is rook down. It's serious, of course. It's a sign that objectively black should be winning, but how to play? Bishop takes d4, played Morphy. I don't know if this is the best choice. Okay, but what alternatives he has? So knight e4 looks like interesting alternative, by the way. And what is this? What to do with white? Now if queen f4, black can... queen f4. Here queen e6 was not so strong because bishop takes e4, sorry. If queen takes e4, queen g3, and queen g7 is coming. So probably, okay, g6 is probably the best practical solution. And black is much better here. Okay, after queen d7, now again g6 was possible, but g takes h6, queen c1. So bishop takes d4. So knight e4, queen f4. So this is problem for black probably. And now queen g4 is threat, especially to utilize that queen on d7 is in danger position. Queen g4 and knight takes h6. So after queen f4, suddenly white attack is very strong. Okay, so if not knight e4, what else black can do? So bishop takes d4, played Morphy. Knight h7, queen takes h6, f6, but now bishop a2 and knight h4. Only move rook g8, sorry, rook g8. And what is this? Bishop takes, now maybe even take with king. But white has some attack after rook e1, I don't know. Okay, so it's not so easy, at least in practical game. What else? Okay, knight h7. So knight h7, f6 is possible, but it's still unclear. So practically, probably g6 was the best, even better with queen on d5, but with queen on d7 it's possible as well. So it looks like white has no serious attack. If queen c1, for example, knight e4 is coming, then white will lose d4 pawn. But okay, so Morphy is greedy. So queen c1, and suddenly not so easy to defend against such attack. So bishop takes d4 he played. Queen takes h6. Rook e1 check. So he played rook e1 and knight e4. There is question why not something else. Are there any alternatives? Okay, so knight e4 immediately, same position, but with king on g1. I don't know if there is any important difference. Another idea which I see is rook e1 and take on f5. Bishop takes f5 and take here. Black has a lot of pieces against queen. Is it enough for win or not? g4, g5 is too slow because rook f1 is coming. So probably this was refutation. No perpetual check, because if queen g5, king f8, queen h6, king e7, and king is, I will show you this. But so if this, so no perpetual check. If white tries queen h4, attack bishop, and queen h8, black can defend with rook d8. So it's very reasonable idea. Queen takes if f5 was strong. So bishop takes f5, rook takes a1, and it looks like objectively white is losing here, because if there is no perpetual check, black are ready to coordinate his pieces, and material advantage will be decisive. Yes, so queen takes f5 was strong. Knight e4 immediately. Okay, white can play same like in the game. So this king g8 perpetual check. If this, knight takes d4. Black losing material because rook takes d4, queen h8. After rook takes d4, even rook e1 is winning. After queen takes d4, queen c6 check, and then take on a8. So it's not acceptable for black. But okay, so I have feelings that rook e1 and queen takes f5 was very practical and very strong. So also important to show that after, for example, knight e8, white has at least perpetual check. This is perpetual check. Everything is good with video, with voice, because if there are no hola, entonces everything is good. Okay, so after queen takes f5, looks like black is winning. So this was, so Morphy correctly played rook e1, but here I don't know why he didn't play queen takes f5, so I don't see any reasonable ideas for white after queen takes f5. So knight e4 played Morphy. Probably there is no serious alternatives, because if bishop e5, f4 is coming. So knight e4 looks like blunder. Bishop takes, queen g5, king f8, queen h6, king e8, knight takes d4. Same motif. And now black cannot take white knight immediately. But there is question. I have a question. My question is okay. Rook d8 is possible or not? Why not rook d8? So Morphy played queen d6. It looks like practical. So okay, I will show you. So if queen d4, queen c6 is idea, then take on a8. If rook takes d4, it's not possible because many reasons. Rook e1 is winning at least. So queen d6, he changed queens, but he spoiled structure. And after this pawn on d6 is much worse than on c7, and white has strong knight on d4. So my proposition is rook d8. Now knight is attacked, and Also, black has queen d6 threat with check. It's important that with check. But maybe f3 it's problem for black. F3 is strong, and suddenly black has no square for rook. Yes, f3 is strong, so now black cannot play for win. So queen takes d4, rook takes d4, not possible because rook e1, and no place knight f5. No, knight f5. No, f3 is strong. Knight f5 or f3, and now nothing good for black. So queen takes d4 is the best, and queen takes b2, but okay, this is possible, but also queen c6 check. Okay, it's looks like drawish. So f3, it's nice resource. So here Morphy made mistake. Instead of queen takes f5, in my opinion, was correct and winning. And after knight e4, rook endgame. Rook endgame. Rook and queen. Okay, so he played queen d6. If rook d8, f3, it's a problem for black. So rook d8 doesn't work. So probably queen d6 was the best. But here white has pawn and against exchange, and knight strong on d4, and also white knight has another good square on f5. So position is approximately equal. My game against Yusupu. Okay, it's an interesting game. Which one? Because it was match. Okay, so rook d1, king f8 played Morphy. No, probably he wants to play rook c8, but immediately rook c8, knight f5 is really unpleasant, and black has problem against knight takes d6. Okay, maybe not losing after rook d8, but it's unpleasant. So king f8, Morphy wants to avoid it. Now rook d2, modest move. Logical looks g4 to prepare f5 square. For example, rook c8, king g3. If rook c4, for example, knight f5, this idea rook takes d6 looks like white is not worse. King's India. Yes. Okay, it was really interesting game, which I lost. Okay, so rook d2, modest move. So g4 I would prefer. Rook e8, g4, rook e5. And so it looks like black is preparing for to give exchange back after knight f5. For example, after knight f5, okay, probably black can play this. After rook d6, take here, take somewhere. For example, here. Looks like drawish rook endgame. If f6, king g8. Okay, but f3 played. Rook e1. h4 played, rook d5. Now knight is under the pin, but the question how black can utilize it. a5, h5, king g8. So it looks like Morphy played endgame very well. So he has knight on the pin, and now only black can drawish, but maybe black has some chances because surely white cannot do anything anymore with knight on the pin. But there is question if black can do something So king f2, rook e8. So if rook c1, white can activate king somewhere via e3 probably. But still looks like black is better. But it's question how. So rook e8, king g3. Rook e7. So after some waiting moves, it was draw. But okay, I'm not sure that mm, it's like that this is totally drawish position. Maybe black has some chances to, for example, rook e8, king f4. For example, I can try to play okay, for example, rook e3 he played. I can try something like this. Black is not in danger. White is in danger because knight under pin. For example, king f4, rook e8. I'm just waiting what to do. So white cannot. Okay, maybe rook d. Because my idea if king g3, probably I can try this. If takes rook b8, and then take on b4. I have feeling that black has some chances here. So okay, maybe not king g3. Maybe for white is but if rook d1, black has rook e2. So it looks like king g3. Now after a4, it looks like some kind of zugzwang for white. Uh, so for example, rook e8. I'm just waiting. So rook d1 not possible, or rook d3 not possible. g5 is bad because rook e5 and white is losing something. So king g3 more or less forced, and after b4, white has weakness. So it looks like okay, maybe this is a draw, but it's dangerous for white. So king e4. Even this is possible. So, okay, so it looks like Morphy didn't find this plan, so he agreed for draw in position where he had some winning chances. So it's quite interesting game. So firstly, Morphy missed idea with queen takes f5, and okay, so after two games, score was 1.5 against half in favor of Anderson. It was difficult to imagine that Morphy will win this match with score +5. But okay, so in the next video we will continue analyze this match together, and we will try to understand how strong was Paul Morphy and what was his advantage over Adolf Anderson. But for today, I need to go to sleep. No, it's not drawish. I explained it that black has winning chances after this, and a4. So here, for example, a4 was possible. Black need to have this position with white to move. It's possible to reach, for example, this, and now rook e8 to wait king g3 because rook cannot move, because if rook d3 or rook d1, black has rook e2, so king g3 is forced, and now after b4, white is in trouble. Okay, probably it's possible to survive, but it doesn't look, surely it doesn't look like easy draw for white. So if there is draw, it's quite hard for white here. Why I don't use engine? Okay, sometimes I use engine, but very rarely and only for very short period. But during my video, I don't see any reason to use engine. I prefer to explain my own ideas. Okay, so for today I want to sleep. Thanks all. What books for Endgame? Books of Mikhail Shereshevsky I recommend. They are nice. Ala Madrid. Ala Madrid. Dream chess. Okay, so for today I will finish my stream. Thanks for attention. Please not. Thanks for subscribing who is doing this. So good night or good day. Прошу, приходьте ще. It's thanks in Ukraine. Okay.